Hello, everybody. I think we're live now. If you shouldn't be able to hear us, please send us a message. Good morning, everybody. People are still dropping in. Good morning, Per. Good morning, Heiko.
Good morning, Lisa. Good morning, Heiko.
Yeah, so we're here today with Per Björkdahl. He's going to present something from ONVIF, and I don't want to be too quick before Heiko can introduce him, but I just want to say hello to everybody and welcome to the Wiley Industry Days. We're having this presentation in a row with the overall umbrella of the Wiley Industry Days, and I'm so happy and so glad that our presentations are well received. And just for the back of your head, I'm here to answer your questions, or rather Per should answer them, but I can collect them and you can just type in the chat or / question field in your little desktop and I will receive them. So Heiko.
Yeah, good morning everybody and a warm welcome to Wiley Industry Days. My name is Heiko Baumgartner and I'm happy together with my colleagues to start the conference program this morning with Per Björkdahl. He is chairman of the ONVIF Steering Committee. And as you might know, ONVIF is the open industry forum that provides and promotes the standardized interfaces for the interoperability of IP-based security products. And I'm sure Per can give us an update on the latest developments at ONVIF. And as Lisa said, if you have questions, please let us know. And I look forward to hear your presentation. Per is live from the windy coast of Sweden. Yeah.
Thank you, Lisa and Heiko. Yep, I will talk a little bit about ONVIF. I'm sure that most of you that are from the industry are aware of who we are and what we do, but maybe a little bit of a recap and also to look at what's in the pipeline for us would be of interest. So we start about talking the table of contents for today. We talk about ONVIF, a little bit about the profile concept, which is the most important part to know when you're talking about ONVIF, some of the benefits, and also the resources and tools if we have time for this. I'm sure that Lisa can make this presentation available for you afterwards. And as all material and specifications of ONVIF are public, that means that you can also visit the website if you need further information on this. So about ONVIF. So ONVIF, we're committed to provide and promote the standardized interfaces. And I think it's important to understand the addition of promoting, not only providing, because we normally think about technical alliances when a lot of engineers come together and they put their clever heads together and they bring out excellent technology. But we have also taken on the task to promote this to the industry. We work hard in seminars like this. We go to exhibitions, which I will mention a little bit more about later on. But I think it's a very important part to sort of have equal focus on providing, developing, and promoting. Our cornerstones is that we do a standardized API application interface, or the interface between devices of IP-based physical security products. We started out with video only, but we have been complementing with access control, and since a few years back we have some profiles addressing access control, which I will describe on the timeline later on. And we see that the interoperability, regardless of brand, is extremely important. End users or systems designers should really be capable of taking products for their capacities and their features, not by their brand, and avoiding lock-in with single manufacturers. And we're open to all companies and organizations. We have even extended now what we call, since some year back, a observer level, which means that you get access to the test tool and you can evaluate the technical parts of the profiles and the products that you're interested in. And I think this is an interesting prospect, for example, system integrators who very often are very involved in the integration part, and that's where we see the greatest value of ONVIF is. We have, of course, liaised ourselves with international standardization such as IEC or ISO, and myself personally and some other representatives from the industry have worked very close with the IEC Technical Committee 79, where we in both the access control and video working groups have contributed the specification that has been made by ONVIF. So ONVIF has now become an international IEC standard, which of course then gives a large broader impact than just than being a technical alliance. We have also cooperated within IEC with TC9 on CCTV in trains, as this is a very common deployment, and even in trains, IP networks are making their way. So we've managed to get them to understand that you should not develop standards when there are already standards existing. We have also contributed to the ISO Joint Technical Committee 1, who was the developer of the H265. ONVIF has provided some what is called an errata. There is a correction to some of the standard specification that has been developed. So we are really involved in the industry on all levels. And to stay on track with this, we have developed a mission and a vision. This is several years back, but it's still very valid for us. And again, I repeat, the provide and promote of the open interfaces to the security industry. We must remember that we are an interface, so we focus on the effectiveness of the interoperability. The features we leave up to the manufacturers to support. And our vision of the future is that all security systems will share one interface, and preferably the one that ONVIF then develops. If we look at the timeline here, ONVIF was started in 2008, which is now more than 10 years ago. In the beginning, we focused on developing specifications for interoperability, but we weren't really successful to get both client manufacturers, that's the VMS manufacturers, and the camera manufacturers to agree on what features they should support. So we started relatively early to focus on a profile concept. That's meaning putting together a number of features, and when a device or a client, NVR or VMS, is conformant to that profile, it's a guarantee that everything with the profile mark will work together for those defined features. And as I said earlier, we also incorporated access control. So already in 2013, we released the first access control profile, Profile C, which was a fairly, simple profile aimed at being able to combine video management and access control systems to gain some information over doors and to open and close, not really to set up users, etc., which is more complex in bigger systems. And then we continue on the line, and you can also see that we mark out, we get a test tool released. Around 2018, we reached the mark of 10,000 different product models being conformant, available on the website. In 2018, we released a new video profile, Profile T, that incorporated the H.265, the new compression that saved a lot of bandwidth for the manufacturers and the systems. And recently, we have released two release candidates, I would call them, for Profile D, which is a profile that is combining video and access control. The use case is like an entry point where you have an access control device and you have a camera for visual verification. And then, of course, this visual verification could be the face, it could be object detection, whatever the manufacturer wants it to be. And we also have the Profile M release candidate out, which is focusing on metadata. There's a lot of analytics taking place of various nature, and to be able to support the transmission or the transmission of the result of these analytics into the management systems, we need to extend the capabilities of ONVIF to do that. So there are some progress taking place. And we are very close to have 20,000 different camera and access control and NVRs and VMS products in the market, all using ONVIF. So we have been very successful in reaching acceptance in the market. The way we're organized is that we have a steering committee, which is the forum for the goals, rules, and organizations. We deal with the finance and budget, and we also authorize members. Remember that we're open to everyone, so it's not a very hard task to authorize those members. We also have a technical committee and a technical services committee and a communications committee. And in simple terms, you can say that the technical committee, they do the technical stuff, hence the name. They do the specification development, they look at the roadmap, and they also approve any technical proposals for projects that come in. The Technical Services Committee, they develop the conformance process and the profiles. They're responsible for the test tool and the test tool development, and they also organize the developers Plugfest. And then, of course, we come to the promote part. We have the Communications Committee. They have the task to promote ONVIF. They keep contact with media houses, like the one I'm participating in now. We do internal, external communication. There are newsletters, there are blog posts, and we also work with different communications tools to make sure that we are recognized and seen out in the industry. A little bit more in detail how the different committees work. The work is carried out in working groups. And on this slide here, you can see that there are different working groups belonging to different sort of committees. And again, technical committee, these are the hardcore engineers making all the specifications. They look at the security of the APIs. We have the physical access working group working with the access control, and also video enhancement, because there are continuously improvements made in the technology that we need to see how we can incorporate into ONVIF. And then, as mentioned, on the Technical Services Committee, we have the test tool, device and client test tool working groups, and any new profile that are under work, in this case, the Profile D and Profile M, they will reside with the Technical Services Committee. And then, of course, we have the Communications Committee. They have a working group called the Use Case Working Group, and that is for us shall we say, an ability to invite non-members of ONVIF, organizations, etc., and have public discussions about their requirements on ONVIF, what they would like to see, and that in itself can then generate some input, which is then treated as a proposal from internal ONVIF. So there is a possibility for us to receive proposals from the outside. Of course, there are different member privileges. All companies that decide to be part of ONVIF, they subscribe to different possibilities to work. The most comprehensive is the full membership, which is also the most costly, and then you have the contributing. You see there is not much difference between the full and contributing. This is really the levels that you engage if you want to participate in the working groups, if you really want to influence the content and bring up proposals. And then, of course, we have the users and then what is called observers. The user group is by far the absolutely biggest group, because that's where you find most of the manufacturers. They become members, they apply the ONVIF specification to the products, and they then declare conformance. So that is by far the absolutely biggest group. And as you see here, we have most of the major brands in the industry working for us. I think we come to a level where approximately 500 companies, which has been very steady over the years. So, but what is interesting for us is to see the growth in conformant products, because this is really the commitment by the manufacturers where they implement the specs and they declare the products conformant. And as I mentioned, there are 4 different member levels. This is a summary of what I said. We or actually the detail on the conformance products, whereof more than 2,000 are clients. Clients are being NVRs or VMSs, and the devices being cameras, encoders, or access control devices. And that adds up to almost 20,000 in total. I'm pretty sure as this number is of October 2020, we will reach the 20,000 mark before the end of this year. The geographical distribution, I think this follows very well the distribution of where you see manufacturing takes place, specifically in the security industry. Almost 50% is from the Asia Pacific area. And then we have a pretty equal split between Europe and the Americas. Africa, Middle East still low, but a very small portion. Let's talk a little bit about the profile concept. The profile concept, we achieved that once to simplify the design. As I said, that we weren't really capable of, we didn't have the success in convincing both device manufacturer and client manufacturer to agree on a set of users. So we created the profile concept by putting together a number of features under the umbrella of a profile name. And that means that to seek conformance for a profile, you need to support those features. And that then, of course, guarantees for a NVR with the profile conformance and a camera with the profile conformance to be able to talk to each other. So it's much easier to determine the compatibilities between the conformant products. And it allows the users, the designers, to easily identify specific interoperability features between client and device. Because if you can identify them with a camera, you can be assured they also have the same support on the VMS side. So there's no need for extensive technical knowledge of specific versions of specification. A profile is always a profile. And even if there are changes in the background, the profiles are still compatible. And it always uses the latest release of the ONVIF test tool, device test tool or client test tool to test conformance of your product. And as I mentioned, if you're a system integrator, you can become a observer member and you get access to the test tool so you can actually verify in your own way and detailed how the conformance works. So this is a map of the current profiles that we have. They're in alphabetic order, not in the release order. So we have profile A and profile C. There are both access control profiles, where C was the first access control profile that we released, and A was the second one with a little bit more broader functionality spectrum. You can actually create a little access control system by combining the C and A. And the addition to that will then be the profile D, which is in a draft state at this moment. So you can combine the different profiles. When it comes to the video profiles, the first one was profile S, which was the basic for video transmission and controls of a camera. We added on a profile for edge storage and retrieval to that profile, as we saw that storage was becoming more common in the cameras. We also developed a commissioning profile, which is called profile Q. There was always a question on the cameras: how do I activate my ONVIF user or ONVIF account in the camera? So despite the fact that we have some written documentation in the box, we now also have a profile that makes that a little bit easier. Unfortunately, it does maybe introduce some other issues if you intend to have your camera connected to internet during that phase. You can read all about this on the website in detail. And then most recently, we released the profile T with a complement of the new streaming standards and also a little bit more comprehensive capabilities for video analytics to be transmitted from the device to the client. And lastly, but not least, and the profile M release candidate that is in the phase of being completed, that focuses only on metadata and analytics for smart applications. As we see that the use of security systems is changing, so ONVIF need to adopt to that scenario where the output of a security device may or might be needed by or expected to be needed by other systems. So this is a more detailed description of different profiles. I will browse through this relatively quick, and you can read more about this on the website, and also when you receive the PDF of the presentation from Lisa. But as you see here, there is a list for every product of a few features, like in this profile C, where you have site information configuration, event alarm management, and door access control. And you will see that list being longer or shorter, depending a little bit on what the profiles consist of. That's for the quick installation profile. This is the video profile, and if you take the video profile, here's an example where you go video and audio streaming, pan tilt zoom, video configuration. Oops, I have a little network problem here which I need to ignore. And video configuration and multicast, and on top of this you also have device management. So these are the features that you can always find in a Profile S conformant product, whether it's a camera or an encoder, VMS system, or an NVR. So this is the build-up of this. And then you have the most recent Profile T for what we call advanced video streaming. And as I said, it supports H.265. It also supports HTTPS for secure streaming. So this is the most common, and over time the Profile T will then replace Profile S, but Profile S will still be there, but it will slowly lose its relevance in the industry. So what are the benefits you get? I mean, if you're a system integrator, you get what is the most important. You get the reliable interoperability. You have an easy setup mechanisms and advanced security for flexible, cost-effective solutions. You don't have to invest in time and technology to make those different devices from different manufacturers to work together. You have a much more simplified installation because they all subscribe to the same API. And this, of course, gives you greater freedom that you have the flexibility to choose products from different vendors to meet your specific needs. I don't think there is one single camera manufacturer that have a product portfolio that cover 100%, although there are some of them that are great portfolios. And end users and also integrators, they want to have this little sense of freedom to be able to choose the product after the product capabilities, not to actually made it. And for the specifiers, they can easily or trustworthy rely on the interoperability aspect. If they find the profile conformance, they can simply just use that, and they are guaranteed the easy setup mechanism and flexible cost-effective solutions. And of course, again, this gives them the greater freedom. They're not tied into specific manufacturers. And for end users, this of course gives increased flexibility and greater freedom of choice. It also future-proofs their systems and to become a more secure investment, because the systems that are installed and commissioned, they live for many years, and the demands and the expectations of the system will change over time. So I think it's a way to make sure that things develop, the profiles remain. So when the manufacturer releases a new product with exactly those features that you need, and it's still profile conformant, that's a guarantee for you that you made a future-proof investment. And as a manufacturer, what do you get? Well, you get an increased market awareness. You can use your ONVIF conformance in your marketing, which is a valuable exposure in the market. You get new opportunities, because a lot of people rely on ONVIF and use ONVIF as a reference. And if you remember then and have ONVIF deployed in your product, you will be able to join that. But you will also be able to build partnerships in the industry. ONVIF has really never said that we should standardize the greatest and latest features. We have said that we should standardize on the common things that all manufacturers do. We lay a basic layer to make it easy and also to free up resources to develop new interesting innovations that will actually lead the development of the market. So let's look a little bit on the resources and tool that you get if you start to work with ONVIF. Start with the conformance process. It's a very strict process. It's based on self-declaration. It means that you implement and you run the test tool by yourself, and then when it's done, you send the result of the test tool and some supporting documentation to ONVIF, and the product, if passed, will then be placed on the website of ONVIF, which is the only true resource of Conformant product. So in this you can see different parts. You see the test specification, you see the test tool, and you also have the possibility to participate in what is called Developers Plugfest. This is where you as a member can bring your product and your engineers. You leave your company t-shirt at home, and you can test the interoperability with other members. It might be that you're a device manufacturer, you can test with other VMS manufacturers. And these are very well received, and there's a lot of testing taking place, and it's very appreciated by the member that they get the possibility to test their things in real life, so to speak. We also have some issues with false claims. So we have on the website, you can make a report, false claims. I'm starting from the bottom here now. If you find a product that you know is falsely claiming that they are conformant, you can send a report anonymously to ONVIF, and we will look it up. And it does happen that we see companies. Most of the time it's based on misunderstanding, that I don't really understand the process, what it takes to get the product conformant. But we do this on a monthly basis. You can also find the conformant product list on onvif.org on the website, and that is the only true source. Many people can make their own list, but this is the true source that is continuously updated by the ONVIF staff. So ONVIF, we actively monitor these product conformant claims and list, and make sure that the information on the ONVIF website is really up to date and working as a true source of information for ONVIF conformant products. We also do a little bit of events and trade shows. I think in this year we have not. We participate in events of this type, but prior to that, we given some panel discussions. We try to invite some market analysts to do presentations with us. And we're basically trying to be where our members and our community is. And to see the latest updates, you can look at the event schedule on onvif.org. And by that, I have completed a presentation of ONVIF.
Wow, that is a spot on landing time-wise. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Per.
Thank you.
And
Thank
we
you.
have a question. Yeah. So Mr. Blum is asking, why is there no profile for external devices such as I/O devices, lighting control, motion detectors, and light barriers?
I think the main cause is that we have no manufacturers that are interested or find the opportunity big enough to join ONVIF to develop this, because everything that comes or almost everything that comes from ONVIF is initiated by members being manufacturers or other companies that are interested in the industry. So ONVIF doesn't really take on a development for something that we don't have manufacturer support for. So the ideas comes from the manufacturers. So if there are manufacturers that do I/O devices and different type, they're most welcome to join ONVIF.
Okay, Mr. Blum, that was good enough answer for you. And we've got another question coming in from Mr. Thima. Are there any further plans to create a profile for communication devices, e.g. intercom stations and SIP phones, or don't you see a need to do so?
We have not introduced SIP because that's a little bit technically complex in the scenario of web services, but on the video profiles, we have bidirectional audio. So what has happened from that point is that door stations is a relatively new phenomena where you have a device at the door, which is basically an access control device, which consists of a camera, microphone, speaker, and sometimes a keypad. That is, and they are using a camera profile for that, because they can do the push button, because the video profile supports I/O, and they can use the bidirectional audio because that's used by the profile. So there are a number of these door stations that are profile conformant, but it still needs like a dual connection, because if you put an access control keypad to it, you have to connect that part to a door controller. So there is a sense of merging technologies, but I think that the Profile D might be able to address that when it's finally released, because that's a typical Profile D use case.
Great, thank you. We're very happy with your presentation, but we have to move to the next session. So thank you very much, Per. You said you will distribute the material, the PDF, and everybody has I guess your email address and knows how to contact you. So, and if you have any more questions, would be great to contact Per directly.
Absolutely. Or you can go through the ONVIF website if you can't find my address. So.
And there's even a small bit of ONVIF stand on Wiley Industry Day, so you can move over to that and explore the Wiley supporter stand where ONVIF is also represented. And please don't be shy to ping us, the Wiley team, and ask for Per's presentation. We're happy to distribute it. So thank you, Per. Thank you for coming. And thank you for everybody for participating, and have a lovely day. Bye.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Heiko. Bye-bye.